In this episode, we'll be talking about why an online course creator should go to social media marketing world and 4 creative marketing strategies to help promote your online course.
Welcome to the Online Course Coach Podcast, brought to you by TrueFocusMedia.com. Whether you're a beginner or expert, this is the podcast for the latest in online course creation tips, news, interviews, and ideas. And here's your coach, Jeff Long.
Welcome back to another episode of the Online Course Coach Podcast. This is the podcast that talks about everything with online courses, whether it's just creating them and testing your idea, how to build your course, how to create effective course videos, how to market your course, anything to do with courses is what we talk about here. And today I want to talk about something a little different, but I know it will give a lot of value because the things that I learned I know will be helpful to you as well. So, there's many conferences out there, and it's really hard to pick which ones to attend, at least for me, because I love going to conferences. I love learning. I love meeting people and really hearing what the industry trends are and what's coming next. And so I love industry conferences that specialize in, e-learning or online courses and all of that. But I also love more general conferences, that focus on different aspects like marketing and video and social media. And so I just wanted to take some time to share what I learned at Social Media Marketing World. No, I'm not getting paid for this, unless they want to send me a hefty check. But I've gained so much value after going the last few years that I thought it'd be helpful to hear about it, what I learned, and some takeaways that you can learn from my experience. I was even able to pull aside a course creator with an awesome accent, by the way, and he gave some tips that he has found successful for his own courses. And so I'll play that clip here in a few minutes. And then lastly, I also want to share some creative marketing strategies that you can use to build your audience and sell more courses. Because I find that one of the challenges to any course is the marketing. Sometimes some people, the building it is easy for some people, and some people, the marketing is the most difficult part of the process. But before we get into all of that, this episode is brought to you by Easy Video for Courses. Did you know that online courses that include video are 83% more effective in helping students remember the information better? But one of the hardest parts of creating a course is knowing how to create effective course videos, right? It's not easy. Most people struggle with confusing equipment or software. The cost of buying equipment may seem high if they don't know the right equipment to get, or maybe they don't feel confident in front of the camera. And that might be you. And that's just why I created Easy Video for Courses. I've really taken out all the confusion out of the process so you can make effective course videos in half the time, even if you don't like being on camera. So you can go to easyvideoforcourses.com. You can learn more about what the modules contain. You can get the course and go from there. And don't forget, through the month of April 2018, if you use the coupon code podcast, you get $50 off. And that's only through April. Once that month is complete, that coupon code will be turned off and you'll have to pay full price. And so I really go through all the aspects of how to create effective videos, how to find really cool templates. If you have to use PowerPoint or if you aren't a designer, I give some places to find some really cool designs. I also talk about the gear to use, the equipment, the software, and then how to even film videos with your iPad, your smartphone, whatever it is. We go through, the different types of equipment, whether it's cheap, free, or expensive. I give you all of that. So it's a lot of content packed into a course, and you'll walk away being more confident with the equipment, with the software, with the process, because I teach you how to talk and teach with video. And then you'll also be more confident with making the videos so you can make more courses, right? A lot of you want to create more than one course. And so once you master this art and the strategy that I give you, once you master that, creating courses is so much easier. So again, go to easyvideoforcourses.com to learn more and get the course. All right, so We're talking about conferences today and specifically social media marketing world and some things I learned that I want to share with you. So the first thing I did on the plane, actually on my way to San Diego to prep for the conference, is I listened to my friend Nick Pavlidis' podcast about conferences. So if you go to onlinecoursecoach.com/crush conferences, you can get taken directly to that podcast. Now, his podcast is called the Attorney Marketing Institute podcast. It's a fantastic podcast. And this one specifically, while it talks directly to lawyers and that whole industry, it is very applicable to any industry. So if you're going to a conference, I highly recommend you listen to Nick's podcast, his strategy, because I know you're going to walk away with some really cool insights. Nick is a good friend of mine. Man, he is so talented. And his podcast is fantastic, even if you're not in the law industry at all. Now, I won't give away all the secrets of the podcast, but Nick talks about why you shouldn't go to sessions and what 3 groups you should serve at a conference. And so I put his strategies into place, and I had one of the best conferences I've ever had. And I've been to quite a few conferences. I love going, like I said before. So again, you can listen to Nick's episode by going to onlinecoursecoach.com/crush conferences. But that's what I did to prep. You know, he talks about different groups of people that you should, I hate to use the word target, but you should identify and how to serve each group. You know, this conference, because I put those practices into place, I met more people in the hallways at lunch, outside the sessions, just walking to sessions. It was so very valuable. You know, interestingly, last year I went to almost every session. And I'm glad I did last year because I had a couple clients and a couple projects and a couple things I was interested in either learning or solidifying in my own business. And so I needed to get some of those tips and strategies or solidify some of the information with marketing and some of the different kind of surrounding topics with Facebook ads and other things that I wanted to get that information. I had a couple clients where some of these sessions specifically talked about things that I needed to get information on for some of my clients. So it was very valuable. I even got to meet Jesse Cole, who I've mentioned in this podcast a few times. He runs the Savannah Bananas, and he wrote the book, Find Your Yellow Tux. You can find that book at findyouryellowtux.com. I got to meet him personally. He was on a webinar with my mastermind group a few weeks ago, but I got to meet him. Man, he is an awesome guy, so kind, so fun to be around. And I mean, the guy walks around in a yellow tuxedo. He has a yellow top hat, yellow tuxedo, yellow shoes. You can't miss the guy. And he was fun to get to know. Now, I want to talk about the opening keynote. So the opening keynote was all about this Facebook apocalypse. All right. And I haven't talked about it much on this podcast because, first of all, you know, this isn't directly about social media, even though that's a heavy tool and resource that we all use, or many of us use. But there's some really good information out there that goes more in depth. And I knew that Michael Stelzner was going to be talking about Facebook and where it's going here and how it affects so many of us. I knew he was going to be talking about in the opening session. So some notes I took in the opening keynote is, you know, Facebook in the month of, I think it was January or February of this year, talked about how they were going to dramatically, I guess, deprecate or reduce the amount of views that a Facebook page gets versus just a normal, you know, yours and my personal Facebook profile. So if you post on your personal account an article or a comment or something, Facebook will prioritize that. If you put that on your business Facebook page, it will decrease what is being shown there. And I've talked with a lot of people who heavily rely on Facebook, and they have seen a dramatic decrease already. So maybe you're seeing that right now, maybe you're not, but it's coming. Both Mark Zuckerberg and then Facebook as a company has said that they are going to dramatically decrease Facebook pages in the newsfeed. So they rely on things like, different signals like reaction and comments and shares. And so one interesting strategy for those of us that are using Facebook for our business is that long comments are more important than short comments. And I think it was like 3 sentences or more. I don't know if there's a definitive, this many words or this many sentences. But, if people are just saying, great job or congrats or, something like that, when you post, hey, check out my online course, that post won't get as much traction as if you, maybe you're doing a Facebook Live video and you say, hey, tell me, the 3 things you struggle with most. And they write, a few sentences on those. So the more you can encourage long comments on your business Facebook page, the better. Now, there was a lot of bad news, I guess you could say. He gave some stats, he gave some quotes on how Facebook is reducing the amount that Facebook pages will get in the newsfeed. But here's some good news. Number 1, use video. So a couple ideas you could do is do a breaking news show. Maybe every week or every day or every month you do a breaking news show about your industry, about obviously where your course is positioned. And then ask for feedback from the audience and really think through those questions. What questions can you ask that will elicit a longer response and longer comments? If you just say, hey, give me a thumbs up if you like this, or say, yippee if you think this is good, it's really not going to be effective. And probably if you ask people to type in yippee, probably wasn't going to be effective anyway. But anyway, that is something you could do, is do a breaking news show or, industry news show, whatever you want to call it. Another thing is you could go at live events like conferences and you do live video. So maybe you do interviews with different people. Maybe you talk to different speakers, different industry leaders, or just average people and ask, what they're doing, what they're using, what tips they have, and things like that. Maybe you'll do a weekly tool or a weekly tip or a weekly strategy session. You could do that on video. Obviously, all of these, can be Facebook Lives. In fact, Facebook is encouraging that. And then also one thing I put some stars by is use vertical video just for your Facebook Live as well as for your ads. And this is something I've been testing with Facebook ads for quite some time. I've seen that square videos convert well, and sometimes vertical videos do as well. So, a TV set is kind of horizontal. And so a lot of times when we're watching video, we turn our phone horizontally to watch it. But Facebook has seen through their stats that many people don't do that. And so don't be afraid to use vertical video. Now, Michael Stelzner closed his opening keynote really with the whole concept of, okay, what do you do, right? And the whole thought is to get personal. It's all about personal connections. The internet started with, hey, we can reach more people and talk to more people. And that quickly maybe spun out of control with internet marketing and trying to make things easy where we're not talking with people, we're not interacting. But Michael, stressed the importance of it's really about that one-on-one or small group interaction. And so that's why I love, going to this conference, going to other conferences, talking with many of you through email or social media. That's what I love because, it can kind of feel weird behind this microphone, right? I'm just staring at the computer. I'm just talking, going through my notes, trying to share as much information, help as much people. But it's that interaction where things get really interesting. So what are some ways that you can get interaction, not just in your course? I'm talking more about with your audience, whether you have a small audience or maybe you're just building it, or maybe you have a large audience. How can you increase that engagement, that conversation, and getting personal with different people? So that's kind of my challenge to you from here. Now, the second thing I want to talk about with social media marketing world, and this I think they did even better this year, is they had during lunch, Thursday, Friday, is they had different what they call table talks. And this year there were well over 100 tables. I think there's maybe 130, 150, I don't know, tables. And each table had a different topic. So some were, Facebook marketing or Facebook ads or Google ads or video or whatever it was. But there was a table on course creators, which was fantastic. And so I got to sit down with other course creators for 2 days there, especially during lunch. But honestly, I spent hours there just talking with other course creators, brainstorming, answering questions, giving ideas, how they could create and market their online courses, how they could create effective course videos. And then, in fact, in the coming weeks, I'll have a show about the top questions that course creators ask me, because I heard a lot of these same questions at Social Media Marketing World. A lot of people would ask me in the hall or at the tables. And so I want to compile these, because the questions that I got asked that week were similar to the questions that I get asked from you guys and from other people. So I'll be answering those top questions and more in an upcoming show. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, it was really cool just to meet so many people at this table. I actually booked, how many different podcast interviews did I book? I mean, it was 4 or 5, maybe even more interviews with different course creators, different learning management systems. And so over the next couple weeks and months, I'll be releasing those interviews. And that was all because I met these people at Social Media Marketing World. Now, one of the nights before, I think it was a Tuesday night before, there's always these, after parties and fun things. Teachable sponsored a happy hour. So it was fun talking with other course creators, other people from Teachable, like Cameron that I've interviewed on this podcast, and continue just talking and learning from other people, giving advice and tips on their courses. So obviously it was a lot of fun for me, just telling people about the podcast, asking where they are in the process, and just hearing about different people from beginners to people that have a large audience. Again, I'm going to be interviewing some of them here in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. Well, hey, I actually was able to pull aside somebody that was at the table, and it was really funny. I had a plan to interview several people at the table, but as we were getting set up and I interviewed the first person, there was actually a live band that was warming up and started to play pretty much as we were wrapping up, and it got really loud. And then it got even louder with lunch coming in, and so I decided not to interview, people at the table. But like I said, I'll have in-depth interviews with some of the different people. But let me introduce you to my friend Dave Nicole, who's going to give some tips and strategies that he's learned for his course.
Hi, my name's Dr. Dave Nicole. I am here at the Social Media Marketing Conference in San Diego, and I have a class called VetX. It's for new or recently graduated veterinary surgeons leaving college, leaving university, who enter the world with a certain world viewpoint, which is not necessarily that appropriate or close to reality. And then they hit the big bad world of veterinary medicine and the wheels fall off a little bit and they get kind of disenfranchised and start to burn out very early, leave the profession. And so we've made a course to teach them some of the rules of life. It's kind of like a soft skills education or street education for veterinary surgeons. Now my tip would be you got to have good content, I think. I think probably a lot of it comes down to the content. I've been a doctor for 20 years and I've practiced my art of professionally speaking. All the content I put in my class is all stuff that's been on the road and I've seen my market has responded well to. And so like I do a lot of talks, and then if something doesn't work, then I'll work on it and I'll try and improve the talk. And then the next audience I have, I'll look at their sort of feedback and their reaction to certain bits of that content. So I think mastering the craft of content creation for me is one of the more important things. Of course, there's no one thing that is perfect, right? Because you can master the craft and then you suck at Facebook ads and you have no traffic, then you're screwed. So I think, I think if you've not got a good product, then it doesn't matter. If you can drive Facebook ads, everything, you're never going to have a long-term relationship with somebody. So for me, the content creation's the number one thing I focused on. And then I've actually outsourced the generation of traffic and the sort of the nurturing of the leads to somebody else. So as I will then I can then work on my content to sell the class as well. So yeah, for me, it's all in the content creation and then working with people who are rock stars at the bits they do. I think that's a good formula for success. Rather than in our world, it always feels like we should be awesome at everything. We should be able to just do everything ourselves. And also, I think as entrepreneurs, we kind of wear that as a badge of honor. And we beat ourselves senseless when it's not true, right? We think, oh my God, I'm not awesome at Infusionsoft. No one's awesome at Infusionsoft. This is so complex. Yeah, I think just focus on the bit you're good at and then get support from other people who are good at the other bits, and you will go much faster. You'll get there much faster.
That's awesome. And then what's your website?
Website is drdavenicole.com, drdavenicol.com. And yeah, love to have you guys there. Come tell me what you think.
All right, well, there you go. Check out Dave's website and course. He was really fun to talk to, and I know he's having a lot of success, and I wish him even more success in the future. All right, so let's talk about 4 creative marketing strategies that maybe you've never thought of. So the first one is, or before I get into that, marketing is so important, and there's so many different strategies to use. And so some of these you might have never thought of. Some of them maybe apply to you, and maybe 1 or 2 don't. But let's talk about these 4 strategies because I love thinking outside the box. I love finding ways to leverage the power of technology, of relationships, and online courses. So the first thing is could you find a community college or even technical school to offer your courses? And maybe it's not one of these. Maybe it's a university or something larger. Especially for some of you that have more hands-on courses. But it could even be, maybe you have a real estate course and there's a community college that wants to teach real estate. Maybe that's investing. Maybe that's how to, become a realtor or something like that. And you have a course on that. You could reach out to a community college. They probably would like to have somebody local because then they can promote that as, a local benefit and they get a percentage of the sales. So almost like an affiliate relationship. So think about some different industries that are maybe outside the box. It could be a meetup group. It could be a large membership website that meets locally. I know Bigger Pockets is a very popular podcast and they have meetup groups. So maybe you could, do some joint ventures if you were in the real estate investing industry. Number 2 is approach companies that have a similar or parallel or matching audience and offer a referral program. So what industries does your course intersect with? What I recommend is starting small. You want to partner with GE or Apple or something big, but let's start small. Start with some in your community, start with locally owned businesses and go from there. Because if you can prove the concept and say, hey, I went to these 5 businesses and partnered with them and they used, they got access to my course and they were able to get XYZ results. Then when you talk to more regional, national, or international companies, it's easier to show the results you've had and pitch that referral program or whatever type of, affiliate relationship you want to have. And then number 3, create white label courses where you create the content and then resell it to others who offer it to their audiences. Now, this is actually a separate podcast we'll have where we'll go in depth with a course creator that does just this. And when I heard this, I knew I had to have her on the show. So stay tuned in the coming weeks. That'll be coming up. But how could you white label your courses? Meaning you take all your branding off, all your name, all your information, and promote the course, have them promote your course. So could you do that? How could you do that? And just be thinking about white labeling your courses so you can sell even more. I've done this myself. It was very, very lucrative. It was a very good experience. I partnered with another affiliate marketer or influencer, I guess is a better word, and kind of put my course under their umbrella and white labeled it and had some good success, which was pretty cool. And then number 4, what if you put a promo link in your email signature? So this could be a coupon code, or it could just be a short blurb about, hey, are you looking to learn X, Y, or Z? Check out my course here. Now, what I recommend is if you're doing, a 1-sentence description of your course, make it about the benefits. What are they going to get out of the course? Not, hey, this course has 10 modules, or hey, it's really nice, or I spent a lot of time on it, or I'm important. No, give the benefits of the course. They are going to learn X, Y, and Z, or, they're going to walk out with this knowing how to earn more, save more, do more, whatever that is. Put the benefits in your email signature. All right, so those are 4 creative marketing strategies that maybe you've never thought of using. Again, number 1, find a local community college or technical school, maybe a small university or school. It could even be a high school, and offer your courses, and they get a percentage of the sales. Now, let me just say with that, when you go into these, don't necessarily start with a high percentage. Online, it's typical for a 50-50 split, but some of these in-person organizations aren't used to that. So you might do 10% or 25% and just see what they're happy with. There's no sense giving away more if they're satisfied with 10%, 25%, whatever that is. Anyway, number 2, a similar thing, approach companies that have a similar or parallel or matching audience and offer a referral program. Number 3, create white label courses where you create the content and then resell it to others who offer it to their audience. And let me just say with that, you could have your own course where it is branded. It does have your name, where you're promoting your things. And then you could have a version where you strip all that out. And that could just be through editing or creative. When you build it, you do that creatively. I've done that myself. And if you think it through beforehand, it's a lot easier to edit things out or have certain modules be for certain industries or mention different things. And so you're not having to recreate the wheel. It's not like you're having to duplicate your course every single time. You're just making some simple modifications. And then lastly, put a promo link or a blurb or whatever you want to call it in your email signature. Because if you're like me, man, I probably send out dozens, 50, sometimes 100 emails a day for some clients and projects I'm working on and different things. And so that's an easy way to promote your course. All right, well, there you go. That was a lot of information. But first of all, we talked about, why a course creator should go to a social media marketing world. And if you do, definitely let me know. I'd love to chat, grab some lunch or hang out with other course creators as well and brainstorm. And then we heard from Dr. Dave Nicole on his tips and strategies. And lastly, the creative marketing strategies that you can use to sell your courses. And then don't forget about easyvideoforcourses.com. Check that out. We've already had a lot of people go through it and have had some good success I'll be sharing in future episodes. So that's kind of cool. And then lastly, I would be honored if you were to leave a rating and review of this podcast. That helps more people get in touch with the podcast. That helps more people find it. So if you go to onlinecoursecoach.com/review, you can leave a rating and review in iTunes. Or if you don't use iTunes, just leave it in whatever you use, Google Play or Spotify or wherever you are listening to this. I would be honored, and it would encourage me and help other people find the show. All right, well, thanks for listening to this episode. You know what I'm about to say if you've been listening for any time, because it is my goal with this podcast and all my training is to help you to teach many to impact millions.